The wrench slipped from Darren Cole's oil-stained fingers as the shadow fell across his small repair shop. His 8-year-old son, Marcus, looked up from the engine parts he'd been organizing, his eyes widening at the 3 towering figures blocking the doorway. They were Vakros, reptilian mercenaries with scales like burnished copper and eyes that gleamed with predatory intelligence. The galaxy knew them as enforcers for the Consortium, the coalition of alien species that had relegated humanity to the Outer Rim after Earth's failed rebellion 15 years ago. Darren Cole. The lead Vakros hissed, his translator crackling. You repaired a ship for the Resistance. The Jade Serpent. Don't deny it, Darren's jaw tightened. He had fixed that ship, replaced its dying fusion core with salvaged parts. The rebels had paid him fairly and he'd asked no questions. On the frontier, you didn't refuse work and you didn't ask about politics. I'm a mechanic, Darren said carefully, moving to place himself between the aliens and his son. I fix ships. That's all. The Vakros leader's forked tongue flickered. Then you chose the wrong ship to fix. What happened next took 3 seconds. The plasma rifle rose. Marcus screamed. Darren lunged forward, and the world exploded in white-hot agony as the blast caught him in the chest. He crumpled to the concrete floor, his vision swimming, the smell of his own burned flesh filling his nostrils. Through the haze of pain, he saw Marcus running toward him, heard his son's terrified sobs. Then a scaled hand grabbed the boy, lifting him like a doll. Let the human whelp remember, the Vakros said. This is what happens to those who defy the Consortium. Darren tried to move, tried to speak, but his body wouldn't respond. His last conscious thought was of his son's face, twisted in horror. As the aliens carried him away into their ship, he should have died on that floor. Darren woke 6 days later in a cave that smelled of sulfur and ancient stone. His chest was wrapped in strips of strange, silvery fabric that pulsed with bioluminescent light. Standing over him was a creature from humanity's oldest myths, a dragon. Not the fire-breathing monsters of Earth's legends, but something far more magnificent. Scales like polished obsidian, wings that could blot out stars, and eyes that held intelligence older than human civilization. You live, Darren Cole? The dragon rumbled, its voice resonating in his chest. My name is Karith, warlord of the 7th Brood. My scouts found you dying and brought you to our sanctuary. Darren's hand went to his chest. The wound was still there, but healing impossibly fast. My son, he rasped. They took my son. Karith's eyes narrowed. The Vakros serve the Consortium. We know them well. They have hunted my kind for centuries, seeking to harvest our scales for their armor, our blood for their weapons. The dragon's claws scraped against stone. We have watched humanity struggle against the same oppression. We have watched and waited. Why save me? Darren asked. Because you are not the first human the Vakros have wronged in our territory, but you may be the last. Karith leaned closer, and Darren could see scars crisscrossing the dragon's massive frame, the marks of countless battles. I offer you a choice, Darren Cole. Return to your broken shop and mourn, or stand with us and let the galaxy know that humanity still has fangs. Darren thought of Marcus, of the terror in his son's eyes. He thought of 15 years of submission, of humanity scattered and broken across the Outer Rim, of the Consortium's boot on Earth's throat. He pushed himself to his feet, ignoring the pain. What do you need? Karith's lips pulled back, revealing teeth like swords. A mechanic. Our warfleet has slept in these mountains for 300 years. Our ships are ancient, our weapons untested, but with human ingenuity, the dragon's wings unfurled. With human rage, we could burn the Consortium from the stars. It took Darren 3 months to restore the dragon fleet. 3 months of working around the clock, of learning alien technology that blended magic and science in ways that defied Earth's understanding. The dragons brought him materials scavenged from 100 worlds, and Darren's hands that had fixed countless human ships, learned to coax life from machinery that predated his species. Karith's brood numbered 3,000 warriors, 3,000 dragons who had hidden in the mountains of Dracoris Prime, avoiding the Consortium's genocide, waiting for their moment. Darren gave them that moment. The restored ships were works of art, sleek cruisers that could outmaneuver anything in the Consortium fleet, their hulls reinforced with dragon-forged alloys, their weapons powered by the same bioluminescent technology that had healed Darren's wounds. On the day of reckoning, Darren stood on the bridge of Karith's flagship. The Crimson Dawn. Before them, displayed on holographic screens, was the Vakros command station, a massive fortress orbiting the trade hub of Nexus 7. "Your son is there," Karith said quietly. "Our intelligence confirms it. The Vakros hold him as leverage, insurance against human rebellion." Darren's hands gripped the console. "Then let's go get him." The Dragon fleet emerged from hyperspace like a nightmare-given form. 3,000 dragons and their ships with a human mechanic at their head. The consortium's sensors screamed warnings, but by then it was too late. The battle was short and brutal. Dragonfire and plasma cannons tore through shields designed to withstand human weapons. The Vakros scrambled their fighters, but they had never faced enemies like this. Creatures who had fought wars when humanity was still learning to make fire, now armed with technology rebuilt by human determination. Darren led the boarding party himself, Karith at his side. They cut through the station's defenses like a hot blade through ice. Following the tracking signal to the detention level, Marcus was in a cell designed for human prisoners, cramped, cold, meant to break the spirit. When the door exploded inward and Darren stepped through, the boy's eyes went wide with disbelief. "Dad?" Darren fell to his knees and pulled his son into his arms, feeling the boy's tears on his neck. "I'm here, Marcus. I'm here." Behind them, Karith stood guard, wings spread, daring any Vakros to approach. The consortium sued for peace 3 days later. The Dragon fleet hung in orbit above their capital world like a sword of Damocles, and humanity's scattered colonies rejoiced as news spread. A human mechanic had done what Earth's armies could not. Darren Cole refused all titles and honors. He returned to his shop with his son, rebuilt it with dragon-forged materials that would last 1,000 years. But above his door he mounted a gift from Karith, a single obsidian scale, inscribed with words in both human and dragon script. "Here works Darren Cole. He who taught us that the smallest flame, when given reason to burn, can ignite the stars." And in the mountains of Dracoris Prime, 3,000 dragons stood ready, sworn to protect humanity's worlds, because they had learned what the consortium had forgotten, that you should never threaten a human's family, not unless you wanted to face the dragons they would bring.